Assalamu alaikum everyone. So basically in Instagram, in Facebook, in all social media platforms, it's all about ChatGPT throughout. People saying that we can do everything in ChatGPT. Even the people saying that software engineers and developers job are at risk. But I don't think so, by the way. I don't think so properly. But you can use this tool to enhance your skill. So in the university or college recently, we are learning a lot of thing about graph. So suppose we want to learn about breadth first search. So how you can search? You can search anything. You can give any keyword, and it will return you the answer. So that's the thing. Okay. So let's see. I'm talking about breadth first search, right? So I'm just saying that, hey, ChatGPT, teach me BFS and enter it. Okay, just look. It is writing down. It is writing down. Just look. It is just writing down all of the thing. What is breadth first search? Breadth first search is algorithm for traversing or searching tree or graph data structures, right? So here is the basic algorithm for traversing. This is the algorithm you can learn. And algorithm is the base of learning or doing a code, right? Implementing a code, you need to learn the algorithm. What data structure we need? Basically, what we do is this kind of thing. We push an element and then kind of a thing pop the element. So what is the thing? What is the thing? What is the thing? You can say last in first out. What is the basic data structure using here? Queue, definitely queue. So it is just written in here. Just look at that. Create a queue and add the starting vertex to it. You can add any kind of a vertex, any node. You can actually call it as what? As the starting vertex. Just like that in tree data structure, where in the root node is called the starting vertex. But in graph data structure, you can call any vertex as the root, and the algorithm will start from there. So just look at that. Mark the started vertex as visited. You have to say visited. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. And then while the queue is not empty, dequeue a vertex from the queue and visit it. That means what? Dequeue a vertex from the queue and visit it. That means you have to visit another element and you have to dequeue and you have to call it visited, right? And you have to pop the element, right? Then you can say enqueue all of the unvisited and adjacent vertices of the vertex just visited, and then mark the dequeued vertex as visited. Three other things we do so often, right? Here you can see the dequeue means deleting the element, right? Deleting the vertex which is visited, and then insert another element which means enqueue, and then mark the dequeued vertex as visited. Just like that, we push in a vertex. We have to call that. We have to dequeue that and pop it from the graph, right? From the adjacency list. What we will use basically? We basically use adjacency list for graph. So that's the thing. So the basic idea of BF. So this is basically the algorithm of traversing a graph using a BFS. So this is the kind of a thing. This is the algorithm you can do. So basic idea of BFS algorithm is to explore all the vertices that are at a distance of one edge away. So this is basically what? This is basically BFS. And then what do we want to learn? We want to learn how to code. We have understood the code. We have understood the algorithm, which is quite simple, and writing kind of thing. Everything is explained nicely here. And what we can now want to, we don't know how to code it. We have learned the analysis, but now we have to understand how to implement it. So then what you can say, just suppose you are using Python is the best language for data structure. If you ask me as a beginner, Python is the best language. So I am just searching, teach me how to code BFS in Python. Here we got the code. Here's an example of how to implement BFS algorithm in Python. What we want, what do we know? Here you have to use the default dictionary. Why we use default dictionary? Just because of the list. We might get list with 0 element, but if it does, the code will show some error. But by using default dictionary, we can actually kind of a thing and inherit that error, right? So that's the thing. So we have kind of a thing initialize a class, and there is some 3 definition having 3 function. Here you can say init basically defines the constructor, and it is the object, right? So self is an object here, right? So what do we need to do Python coding? So to do BFS, we need an adjacency list. So here is the adjacency list. We are calling the adjacency list, right? So instead of we don't understand anything. Suppose we don't understand anything like that. So we have to go backward, go in the down, just like that. Simply everything is explained nicely. Just look at that. Create a queue. What do we know? The BFS, what it does so often, creating a queue. So we are just creating a queue, add an array to keep track of visited at vertices. First we have to create a queue and an array to keep track of visited vertices. Array represent the adjacency list, right? So we have to keep track of visited vertices and mark the starting vertex as visited. Suppose 1, 2 and many things are there. Suppose we have just look at that. Here 0, 1, 0, 2, and what is said as a 2. So it will start from true, not from 0. So it will start from 0, from 2. We are saying that it will start from 2. So start from 2. 2 is the starting vertex. So we have to call it as actually declare it as visited. So that's the thing I can say, and that's the thing we have understood in the algorithm section also. And then while the queue is not empty, pop first vertex from the queue and print it. While the queue is not empty, pop the first vertex from the queue and print it. What we can do? We have declared 2 as visited, right? We have declared 2 as visited. Okay, 2 as visited. So what we'll do? We'll just pop 2 and kind of then print it. The 2 is the first element. We have to print it. We have to add it in a set or list, anywhere you can say. So that's the thing. And in an array you can say, yeah. So that's the thing. For each neighbor of the current vertex, if it has not been visited yet, mark it as visited and add it to the queue. For each neighbor. What is neighbor here? What is neighbor? Just understand what is neighbor. Just wait. So just look at that. Neighbors are this. The side things 0, 3, 3 and all. Yep. Understood? Yeah. So if for each neighbor of the current vertex, if it has not been visited yet, mark it as visited and add it to the queue. So this is the whole process, right? We are calling a constructor, and here G is the constructor, graph is the class, and G is the constructor, and init is the function. It defines the constructor self.graph. We are creating a graph, and we are adding the list into the default dictionary. We have understood why we are using default dictionary, and then we are calling another function which is add edge. These are user defined. You can call it anything, and then here is an object. Here is a U. U is what? U is the starting vertex. B is the neighbor. And what you will add to another graph, right? So another thing. So self.graph. You kind of a thing. When you get the first element, what it says? the first element, u defines what? U defines the position of the first vertex, and then we will append the v. After we in the u will append the v. So definition of BFS: self as and visitor, if visitor equals to false, into max self dot graph. Max means there's the top element, right? The top element. Max defines what? Top element. And q equal to, we have to call the q empty, and we have to append the s, right? So that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing nicely kind of thing defined in ChatGPT. And if you actually code it, just look at that. We can just copy the code and Python online compiler. Python basically uses interpreter, but I am saying compiler. You can use any online compiler out there. Just look at that output. Just look at that output. 2 is the first, then 0, then 3, then 1. Right? So you can just say that how you, and these are user defined. You can add anything. So yeah. So after 2, 0 is the neighbor node. After 2, 0 is the neighbor. So we're just adding 0 as the visitor, and then we add it as this is the u and this is v, right? This is u and this is v, right? This is u and this is v. So then after that, what is the other element, which is the neighbor element of 3? 2, 3 is the neighbor element here. Yeah, 3 is the neighbor element. Just look at that. It is another element. And then what? Then we have to actually consider 2 as visitor, and then 1 is the last. So that's all for today. And basically AI cannot replace human, but those who want to learn something better, kind of thing, you have the concept, you understood the concept, now you have to implement, and you don't know how to implement, you can definitely use the help of different AIs. But AI cannot replace human. You cannot copy, because I understand these things, that's why I can explain it, right? You have to read it first, you have to kind of think, analyze it first, then you can use it, right? Then you can use it. I understood this thing, I understand this thing, that's why I can actually implement it quite easily. But you have to first understand what is the main thing which is happening here, then you can actually know this kind of a thing and all, right? So that's all for today. That's the only thing I just wanted to show you guys, how you can use the AI and enhance our skill, right? So that's the thing. So that's all for today.